Man, so you finally made it. Finally got to meet you yesterday. Came and did Muay Thai, right? Muay Thai class.
It's crazy. I have been trying to come to this gym and train for like 5 years that my store's been open in LA, and meet you. And then at ADCC, which is a whole story, and I hope you ask me about it because that's so funny how we even ended up there.
Yeah, I was pumped to see you guys had a booth there. Dude, so I was looking for, I don't know, somebody to say, I don't know, hello or whatever. And you guys were there too. We missed each other there.
It's the one bathroom break I took. One bathroom break I took, and then I come back, and Alex, who's our videographer and a former employee of our LA store, he, as soon as I come back, he's like, dude, we were so busy, which is great. He's like, but I saw Alberto Crane, and he was like, I know you've been trying to meet him and introduce yourself. He's like, so I tried to look up and be like, hey, dude, and then he's like, I couldn't. He's like, because people were like buying stuff, and I was like, shit. I was like, shit. And so I texted.
It's so funny because I paused and I hung out there for like a few minutes. I was hoping somebody would come up and say hello, And it's so funny that you say that on the opposite side.
Because I came back, I was like, shit. It was like it was like a little slow, like the matches.
Because I was pumped. I was like, oh, SUPERARE. Oh, man, finally get to meet the guys,
Dude, that's so funny. But then I finally meet you, and here we are a day later. So a couple weeks later, right? All's well that ends well. But it's, dude, ADCC. Like,
man.
It was great. I had such a good time. I hope you did.
Oh man, I was blown away.
What
I was blown away.
Cool thing to see. Like, 14,000 people all there to see just
14,000 people. And for me, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, in the 90s, I moved down to Brazil, all that stuff. But like the first no-gi tournament that they had, well, it was after ADCC, 1999, 2000. So the first one, 98, 99. Sorry, ADCC. So they started having no-gi tournaments in 2000, and so the first one I went to was in Vegas.
Oh wow!
Like Eddie Bravo, Jake Shields, like the guys they became really well known after, right? But it's just it was in a high school gym, right? A local high school gym, and it was like just a few guys, like the tap-out guys, tap-out guys from they were around those days, giving stuff out of the back of their cars.
Of sprawl shorts.
And but it was just like, man, it was I was just proud. It was like an honor to me, for me to just to sit there and be there and just kind of take it in and see the guys treated like like the athletes, and there was like the Olympics, they say it's the Olympics of grappling, and for them to be treated with the uniforms and just the whole production. I mean, come on, right? Bruce Buffer, the UFC Pride announcer.
Yeah, I mean, the production value was incredible. It was a little long, but that's a vague critique on what was an incredible event.
Yeah,
it's. That's fascinating to hear your perspective. I mean, I started jiu-jitsu when I was like 22 years old, so way different, perspective from that's awesome. For me, I think it's really cool to see that many people into just jiu-jitsu. No one's punching each other. It's just jiu-jitsu.
And everybody there was into jiu-jitsu.
And they understood. Like, they were clapping for things that people would boo at like a UFC or like mixed martial arts event. So to me, that was just cool to see the community come through. And then, from my perspective, having a booth there, which we didn't know we had until about 15 hours before the event started.
15 hours before the event.
Dude, I got a call from my business partner, Patrick. And he goes, hey, dude, you think it's worth it to have a table at ADCC? And I was like, absolutely, but it's tomorrow, and, we missed the boat on sponsorships. I think we would do really well, though. And he goes, well, I just got a call from Seth, and he said that a vendor pulled out, and he's offering us a table. Do we have enough stuff? Because everything's taking a little longer these days.
Right.
He's like, do you think it would be worth it? Do we have enough stuff to make this like worth it? I was like, absolutely. Like, sure, we're there. So I worked in the store by myself that day, as I do on all Thursdays, but then packed up as much stuff as we could spare, threw it in the back of my truck, picked up a videographer, and just hoofed it to Vegas.
Wow.
We had that big SUPERARE banner, the 10x10.
Yeah.
We had that made overnight and picked it up in Vegas. We had it made in 3 hours.
Wow.
It was all so last minute. It was like, I tried to grab what was like relevant to grappling, but people were coming up to the table and they were like, do you have your new Rocky stuff? I was like, oh shit. Like, we could have, if we had more time, we could have really done it right, which I'm hoping in, what is it? We're in 2022 now, so 2024. We could be like a proper major sponsor. And like, my goal is to build a small version of our store, like our glove wall, our t-shirt wall, our jiu-jitsu section in ADCC. That's my goal. But the point I was going to make is how many people were from everywhere.
Yeah, internationally, right?
Oh, all over the world.
Crazy.
A lot of people from Texas, not just Austin, but like everywhere, all over Texas, Arizona. But like people from not close, man. People flew in from New York. People flew in from all of the Northeast, from the Southeast. It was cool just for jiu-jitsu. Like all the competitions I've ever been to and have competed in myself have been in high school gyms. Or like to me, it was cool when like the New York Open was at Baruch College in New York. So like oh man, it's not a high school gym, it's a college gym. So like to see that in arena with all the production value and
right, with the guys'
techniques.
Names on the on the big screen and on the surrounding LED whatever things, right? That was like
legitimate
a dream come true. Yeah, legitimate sport.
It's like they made it and they did it to be taken seriously as a legitimate sport, which is great. You know, like Dana White gets a lot of shit for like the Reebok deal, which started the Venom deal, which will now be a different brand in however many years.
Yeah.
But his philosophy behind it is perfect and ideal. If you want these sports to grow, they have to have some sort of consistency and uniform.
Yeah.
You know, these fighters can't walk out looking like NASCAR cars. You know, like I get financially it makes sense for the fighter, but for the sport overall, I think that is the right choice. If I was in his position, I think I would have made the same call too. So it's cool to see jiu-jitsu bring that many people, not combat jiu-jitsu, no variation, no like gimmicks, no like, I don't want to call quintet like a gimmick because I actually personally really enjoy watching it.
Yeah, the tag team tag team
like
matches.
Just straight up competitive jiu-jitsu. So I thought that was really
super
cool.
athletic, high level, the highest level, right? Of
yeah, it made me really question what I've learned in jiu-jitsu thus far. So I'm watching these guys and I'm looking at some of the situations some of them got out of or the ones they took advantage of. I'm like, wow, I really know nothing. I don't know shit. But it was cool, man. And I'm just really sad I missed you.
But so it was a nice surprise, right? Yeah, I feel like, was it yesterday that we saw each other?
Was
2 days ago.
Monday.
Monday.
I'm not even 100% sure what day of the week it is.
Like I started talking to like, dude, we got to do a podcast.
Yeah, I'm in it. Like, it's, put me in front of a mic and with somebody who I enjoy their company, who I respect even more so, I won't shut up. So here I am.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. You know, I've been following like SUPERARE, right, for I think on social media, and then I was like, oh man, I'm a big Mike Tyson fan. I think a Mike Tyson shirt on right now. Yeah. But just all the Mike Tyson, just all the cool stuff, right? And then I see all my students kind of like wearing all the SUPERARE stuff, like for a lot of years, right? And it's just love all your stuff. You guys do an amazing job. And how did this whole things start? You're from New York City, so you had the first store there. You were telling me a little bit.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. By the way, that means a lot coming from a guy like you who's been in this for longer than my brother and I combined, probably, which is amazing. So, thank you. So my brother started SUPERARE by himself.
Your brother
in 2011.
Okay.
He started in 2011. Opened the first store on Long Island. At the time, I had I was a touring drummer before I got into retail, but I used to work retail between tours. And so like I had a little retail experience, but when I stopped touring, I figured out you can make a legitimate career in retail, like obviously working for someone else. I didn't know that my brother and I would join forces at some point, but retail, like anything else, is a game. And as long as you honestly show up and just do your job, they praise you like crazy for it. So like I climbed the ladder in corporate retail, ended up being like a store director for like major women's luxury brands. But at the same time, my brother had this store on Long Island. So I would always give him a lot of shit about how he folded T-shirts. But he did this all on his own. And then he opened up like a...
Why did he choose the fight game? And
there was a super big hole in it. Ordering this stuff online is... I've never had a size chart actually work for me, ever. If you go to pull up any brand jiu-jitsu, any jiu-jitsu brand's gi size chart, it'll tell you like I'm an A2. I'm like a shrunken A1. I'm not an A0, but I'm a shrunken A1 at best. And so, there's a big market for it. Like it's yeah, you can order stuff online. Sending it back's a pain in the ass, especially in like 2011, before these, sports got as popular as they are. Like they've come a long way even since just then.
Right.
It's almost 11 years now. Wow. It's trying this stuff on, and we only hire people who train. Also, which is a cool fact about our stores, like you can buy it once, not have to deal with shipping anything back, but also get sound advice. But in 2011, those websites and places you would order from were kind of, not super reliable, especially if you did Muay Thai. Muay Thai, ordering directly from Thailand is still a nightmare in 2022.
Yeah.
Dealing with that in 2011 is a whole different ballgame. So my brother noticed that. He was always into fighting. He trained Muay Thai, so opened up the stores. No retail experience at all, but
just
did
passion.
it.
Just
Yeah,
like,
you really
I love
can't,
this. Yeah.
You can't do nothing but admire that. And so then he opened up a kind of smaller location in the Brooklyn Henzo Gracie gym that opened up. Almost like their pro shop, but it was super rare. Because he was by himself still, and he didn't want to open up in New York City by himself, which I don't blame him. Fast forward like a year into having like 1.5 or 2 locations open, and he asked me, he's like, hey, you're into this shit. Do you want to go into business together? Like, we'll open up in New York City, and then take over the world from there. I was like, absolutely. Sure, yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, it's terrifying because, like, going from a well-paying job where people love you to going to a job that you love where it's a question mark for your salary. I don't know. Hopefully it does well.
Yeah.
It was slightly terrifying, but it never hesitated once. So it was me and my brother had his friend Pat, who he knew from Henzo's.
Okay.
He is Fabio Clemente purple belt.
Fabio Clemente.
Yeah.
He was there before Henzo.
Yeah, he was.
So my dad, I went to high school in New York.
Oh, I
Staten
didn't know.
Island. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was trying to find jiu-jitsu, and Fabio Clemente was a brown belt at the time, and he was there before Henzo got there.
Wow.
And so he was teaching. He was like a Machado affiliate at the time, that far back, Whoa. And then he had a split from them and joined Allianz because of, I think they were trying to make a movie and they kept asking everybody for money or something like that. I'm not sure. Don't. Just hearsay, but he's a good dude, He was a good guy, a straight up guy who's a photographer, right? Something like that.
I've never trained there before.
Okay.
I've met his kids, Zata and Veda.
Veda, yeah. The daughter, yeah, I've seen her compete.
They're very good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They've been in the store. They're very kind. Pat, should he have been here, or if you run into him, he can probably speak on that for days. He's just training with Fabio for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm more familiar with one of his former coaches, Babs, whose last name I cannot even begin to try and pronounce, but he is one of the nicest human beings I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. Either way, my brother, so it's me, Pat, and my brother now. We all joined forces. We closed the Brooklyn location because it makes sense to have it, and we opened up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
Lower East Side.
Which was cool, especially since we're the only fight shop in town, lucky for everybody in the fight community, we built the whole business on honesty and integrity. So we never took advantage of being the only show in town ever.
Overpriced and stuff like that.
We keep everything at MSRP, everything. If, for example, if Hayabusa sells their gi for $139.99, we sell that same gi in my store for $139.99, not a penny more. We could charge more, but we don't. And we do that because we're also in this community. So our stores are built to look like combat, to be essentially like high-end skate shops, but for fighting. And when I say high-end, I mean aesthetically. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So we opened up in New York, but we opened up in New York in a whole different world now. Now my brother has somebody who is well-versed in retail. Not that he needed any of my advice on how to display or design the store. I make everything look great, but
systems and things like that.
Yeah, I'm the ops guy. So when it comes to retail, that end of it, that's my show. But when it comes to my brother designs all our clothing, does all the manufacturing, gear and apparel, all of that stuff. I do all the retail operations and the great experience everyone has in our stores.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Nice.
And I also do a lot of the ordering for the stuff that's not super rare. So like all the other brands we carry, like that's what I make sure, because I'm in the stores. I know what's selling really well as far as other brands, because we think it's important to carry other brands too. Like everything fits differently. That's why stores like ours are important, because people don't know the nuances between gloves, say. So like you'll go online and see a 1-star review on a Cleto Reyes glove. There is no such thing as a 1-star Cleto Reyes glove. There just isn't. It's one of the highest quality gloves you can get. What that person means is that it's a 5-star glove that's not for them. You know, they put it on and they're like, "Oh, I can feel all my punches." Like, yeah, no shit. It's a Reyes glove. That's the point. That's why people buy that glove.
Yeah.
You know, so reviews, you don't know who's writing them. You don't know what their acumen is on gloves, like, and things like that. So it's important to come try this on and have someone tell you. Someone comes in, they're like, "Oh, I really want a pair of Reyes gloves." Absolutely. And then we just through conversation, because my staff is trained by the best on what questions to ask, especially if someone says they're newer. Pro boxer comes in like, "I want a pair of Reyes." We're like, "Cool, what color?" But like someone who's like, "Oh, I'm just getting into it," we'll ask like just to make conversation. Is there anything you're looking for in the glove that is important to you? Like better knuckle protection or better wrist support, or do you want to feel more? Things like that. And you don't know how many times people come in, they're like, "Oh, I really want a pair of Reyes gloves." And we're like, "Cool, is there anything like important?" Like, "Yeah, I'm a surgeon. I really need to make sure my hands are protected." Like, "Oh, well, let us steer you in a different direction." Like if you want, at the end of the day, we can't tell people what to buy.
Right.
But we try to suggest. We're also very low pressure. But we open up in New York, and
but you know your stuff, so you can talk about the different. Like I don't even, you know, like I know a little bit, but not as much as you guys know all the different gloves. And I love that. You know, that's what you need, right? When you're trying to buy and decide what you want to get, what you need, right? Because that guy's a hand surgeon, needs to
100%
make sure his hands are protected.
That happened in New York, but that 100% was a real conversation I had with somebody, verbatim almost. And I was like, "Oh shit, dude! Like, please." We get a lot here in LA. We get a lot of guitar players, musicians.
There you go.
Which is again, it's important, man. It's so. We brought what I like to consider a product to the fight game that is just unbeatable. You can mimic it, but you're not me. You know, like you're not going to have the retail acumen or drive that I have you're not going to have my brother's, you know, design acumen. Pat's more of a financial guy, but he's still the man. I mean, like but he's also like the wild card. Pat is actually extremely good at helping me or helping my brother with whatever. Which is kind of dope. But the thing is that we opened the store in Lower East Side. We were originally called East Coast MMA, which was cool. You know, that's what my brother named it. We were on the East Coast, and we were an MMA store. But about 2 years into being open in New York, we realized that that's a store. You know, but we want to expand to LA, which is what really brought up this conversation. Like, you can't be East Coast MMA in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So we were like, shit. We might have to change the name. And so then we started thinking about it more. And it's true. When you think about East Coast MMA, that's the dope fight shop you want to visit in New York. But, you know, we needed to rebrand to be a brand, you know? Also, you'd be shocked how many like boxers would see like our store and be like, "Oh, like that's an MMA store. They don't have boxing stuff." Whereas, no, MMA just means like mixed martial arts, but like the UFC has gotten so big, it's now synonymous with like MMA is a discipline, you know, like it is like, at this point. So it worked, man. We opened up in New York and the community embraced us. So that's the important part, is like the community aspect. So we wanted to provide people this kind of representation of the combat sport community, to where people who just like our t-shirts come in and they are a little more familiar. I've gotten so many people to start training, so many, because they come in, they're like, "Oh, you train?" Like I thought it was just going to be a bunch of people like smashing each other's face in. I'm like, absolutely not. Like I guarantee you, like your kid's like pediatrician probably trains in like Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, boxing. And they're like, "Wow." And they're like, "I didn't know I can do this." Like, yeah, of course you can.
That's really cool.
So it's like to represent the combat sport community as much as
you make it cool, man.
Well, it's
like go into the store. It's cool stuff, right? To wear,
you know, like,
and I can train. You can train, man. Are you training? Are you training somewhere?
So, I'll never forget this guy. I hope he hears this podcast. I don't know. I can't remember his name, but he was a large man, tall, but like 400 pounds. And he worked for the city. I won't forget that. But he came in, just wandered in. He used to buy our T-shirts, especially when we started carrying 3X. And so he used to buy our T-shirts. and I got him to start training jiu-jitsu at Anderson's Martial Arts in New York City. And dude, we didn't see him for like a year. Oh, he came in to buy a gi eventually. He bought a gi. We found like an A5 that'll fit him. Didn't see him for like a year. Comes back unrecognizable. Guy looked healthy. Like I didn't. He's like, dude. He's like, it's good to see you. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I don't know if we've met. Like I apologize. Like, can you refresh? He's like, tells me, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, you look great. And it's all because he started doing like jiu-jitsu, and Dan Anderson, who owns that gym, also does JKD. So he started doing both of those, and that was great. That's like the best success story.
Yeah,
and it's like to introduce people. And on Melrose, we introduce a lot of like hype beast kids who have their head in the clouds to combat sports. But that's kind of cool too. They're kind of painful to talk to sometimes. It's like they don't have much to say, but sometimes, man, you connect with one of them and then they're buying clothes from you in like a week because they joined their local boxing gym because they've always wanted to get into it, but there's something just, whether it's intimidation just due to, it's crazy because I always tell people like, it's the least intimidating environment as long as you're not like an asshole. If you walk in there like a piece of shit, you'll be treated as such. But like if you walk in there and talk to them, I've never walked into a gym, or haven't walked into too many gyms where I didn't feel welcomed.
Yeah. I think when we like, Kevin helps new people out, it's intimidating, I think, for most people, I would say. And so it's like really important to like hold people's hands and make them feel safe, right? Because I guess it is intimidating, people to walk in. Everybody's cool, right? When most places, right? Most places.
I almost said all, but I'm sure.
But it's like, it's a fight club, right? Like people are like fighting and they're like getting down, right? So it's like really important to make them feel like safe and that they can, hold their hand every step of the way.
Yeah, that's
because it takes a lot of courage to show up, so that go to your store, right? I can say like, oh, you just close, right? But they're like, oh, like I see other people doing it. You meet other people that are doing it. And like, I want to do this, Yeah,
it's funny when these kids, when they walk in and they see there's just like the clothing side of it, because it's like half clothing on one side and then half gear on the other side.
Okay.
And it's a lot. Our glove wall is intimidating.
What year did you guys open up in LA?
So I keep bouncing around.
I
apologize.
It's all good.
That's like how my brain works. I've also
I'm not
consumed my
influence.
body weight in coffee today. So we're going to open in LA. We're going to change the name. We're throwing back and forth names. They're all terrible. And then my brother texts me and Pat, and he's like, SUPERARE, and like SUPERARE fight goods. And I was like, I like that. What does it mean? And he's like, it's technically superare, which is an Italian word to overcome or to supersede. So it's exactly what we're about. It's like fight adjacent. It's not like just bleed MMA.
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't train could wear this shirt, 100%, because I like the store and they, mess with us. But and people who do train can wear this shirt, not broadcasting to the general public that they're into combat sports, but someone passes by them that might train, be like, hey, where do you train at? Because that's the one thing that makes people immediately friends. It's just you see somebody, I used to do it on the train all the time. See somebody with gloves hanging out of their bag or like cauliflower ear, be like, oh, I also have like a slight agenda. If they're not familiar with my store, I do usually give them a business card, call it my Subway pitch. But where do you train? Immediately makes people comfortable with you. It's like fascinating. Like, oh, where do you train? Because it's different than saying, oh, do you fight? Or like if you're wearing like a jiu-jitsu shirt, someone's like, oh, you fight? That person's likely an asshole. But like someone's like, oh, dude, where do you train at? Like, oh, I train at, fucking Henzo's. Like, cool, I train at Marcelo's, dude. Like, how long have you been training for? I've made so many random friends who shop at the New York store now on the Subway doing that.
On the Subway,
it's like a very cool community, man. And that's what what we try and broadcast to the world for those who know, who are in it, and for those who aren't. People ask me what I do, especially I just got engaged. So I'm meeting a lot of people.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm meeting a lot of people from my fiance side of the family. She's from out here. So they always ask me what I do, and I say a combat sport lifestyle store.
Combat lifestyle store.
Yeah, like a combat sport lifestyle store.
Combat sport.
Yeah, because it's like think of like a surf shop.
Yeah,
you walk in, you can get everything from a beginner surfboard all the way to like the Al Merricks and the Town and Countries and the nice stuff. And then, apparel that coincides with that lifestyle. It's exactly what we are. But we're the only thing that's like that, so no one knows what the hell I'm talking about. They're like, cool, what is that? And usually my follow-up is think of like the nicest like high-end skate shop you've ever been into, but for fighting. So we agree on SUPERARE. We rebrand, which is also terrifying a little bit, you know, like we're switching the name. We got a lot. So we do that. It goes well. And then we open up in LA in 2018 on my 29th birthday. On January 13th, 2018. That was crazy too, because I've never seen the space. My brother flew out here, sent us videos and stuff. It looked great. I love the space we're in on towards like the quieter side of Melrose. And so I land the day after Christmas with my brother. The store's still under construction. Our Pat flew out and did a great job getting everything set up for the most part. But, you know, we have no investors. It's just us. Like, we have no outside money. It's
bootstrapping it all.
100%. We do a lot ourselves. It's funny because I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be shocked.
That's the vibe. You know, like it's like heart and soul. You know.
Yeah, this is like passionate.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, you don't do. Whoever said if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life is out of their freaking mind, dude. If you do what you love, you work every day of your life. I want to be super clear about that. You don't hate you don't hate it, but
right,
like
right.
it's work all the time, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like so we open up in we land. We're still under construction. Nothing has arrived yet. All of our shipments from Thailand, from like everything is not here. So like it all arrives at once. It was a whirlwind of 2 weeks because my brother announced that we were going to be opening on January 13th, which is my birthday. I was like, we don't know. We're still waiting for stuff. And you don't want to have a soft opening.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, grand opening party. So I was like, cool. I got to put this. I didn't sleep I fell asleep on the sales floor one night. But we made it happen. But we opened up in LA on that date to being welcomed by a lot of people. We had a lot of people vouch for us, which was cool, from New York. To some of like the guys out here. So people knew that we weren't like scam artists, which is nice. And that we're like about this life, like we're in this community. And that's really what we care about the most. And so it worked out. Like we've been open here now for 5 years. We were closed for 4 months out of those 5 years, but
during the pandemic.
Oh God, yeah, man. Yeah. And then got looted in the middle.
I saw the video.
That wasn't great, but you know what, man? There were 3 kids that came in and yelled at everybody who was looting our store and made them put stuff back. We still lost almost everything, but some of those kids put stuff back. They could have destroyed
it, right?
Oh, they could have. Poor Tokyo, LA, which was like this like anime style like store. A few between us and Round 2, which is like a hypebeast store. Poor them. They didn't really steal anything from them. They just demolished their store trying to get into Round 2. So Round 2 had already boarded up. I guess they were like, saw this coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Boarded up, and they couldn't get in. So they tried breaking through the roof. When that didn't work, they broke into Japan, LA, broke everything, and broke through the wall.
Oh, my God.
I've never seen anything like it. Our store was like an afterthought. I watched it on the camera. It was the same day Tyron Woodley fought Gilbert Burns.
I remember seeing you guys were watching them going to your store, right? Live.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing you could do.
No, nothing. Like, I was watching the fights. Like, literally, the moment the first bell rang for the round 1 is when Tyron, they like ripped our gate down. Like, I watched the whole setup. I watched the entire thing. Like, our friend who owns a clothing company called Dope, or used to rather, on Fairfax, we had just done a collaboration with them. So Rob, I believe, had texted my brother or posted on Instagram, one of those things, that he got cleaned out. And so Jesse, my store manager in my LA store, is from here too. He was following the whole thing. So he was like giving me live updates. He's like, they're on Fairfax and Melrose now. They're going, east on Melrose, like heading towards the store. But no one was really breaking into our store. It looked like this was very coordinated down to what stores they were going to be breaking into. That's what it looked like from what I could see with no audio on the cameras. However, these 3 little, like, couldn't be older than 15 years old, like, we had one of those stupid accordion gates, like that a lot of businesses out here have, which is crazy to me. The first thing we said, we were like, yo, can we replace this gate? And the landlord said no. So we were like, okay, this will keep out nobody. This is like the illusion of security.
Right.
So these kids went like this and saw it had a little give. So he says something to his friends, and I'm like, oh, God, don't.
Here
and
we
they
go.
just 1, 2, 3, and then the whole gate came down. They threw a hammer through the front door. We still have the dent in our floor and the dent in our display table from where the hammer went through, hit the floor and bounced off and hit the table. As a reminder, I guess. I don't know. I can't fix either, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But then they ran in and stole everything. But 3 guys came in and yelled at people. Not only did they yell at people,
it's interesting, huh?
They tried to put our gate back up and like prop it up with like the trash can that's on our corner, which I think is very nice. And I'm still trying to find out who these 3 people are. And then the gate fell down. Round 2 of looting. People come running back in. These same 3 guys come running in and pull people out of our store. So like, I don't know.
How far is Fortune Boxing from you?
Oh, it's like 5 blocks away. They're on Fairfax and Melrose. We're on Melrose, a little more towards La Brea.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, Melrose and Poinsettia. They're not far at all.
But then the second round came, and then
oh god, yeah. So the second round came. I don't think Fortune was there yet when all this nonsense was happening. Or maybe they were.
I think they were, because I remember they were camping. They stayed overnight, to protect their place.
Jeez. That has to be so stressful. I really like Justin and Tamara. That has to be so stressful. I'm so glad I was in New York when it happened, because I like to think that I can think rationally.
Yeah.
In that moment, I don't know how rationally I would have been thinking. So I'm glad I was in New York at least. But flew out a few days later to fix the store. But round 2 happens, and then these same 3 kids come. They yell at everybody. Everyone leaves, and they like bring back like thigh pads that people like just took and were like, "What the fuck is this?" and like threw them on the street. So they they took the thigh pads and like random one boxing glove if they found it, and like threw them back in the store. And I'm like, those kids get a discount for life in our stores. I just don't know who they are or where they came from or why they did that. But yeah, that was wild.
They had love though for
maybe. I mean, like it was all very confusing, especially being able to see the setup to it. Like I saw a car pull up right in front of our camera, right in front of our store. Not for our store, but an older gentleman came out and was handing out like bludgeoning weapons to like younger looking kids, like break windows and stuff like that.
An older gentleman.
It was like an older guy. And I was like, what is this? Like, it was clearly coordinated.
Antifa.
Well, I don't know. I'm not one to speculate or anything like that.
But it's on your cameras, right?
Yes, it was definitely. I don't know if I saved that video, but it was on our camera. I watched it in real time, and I remember looking at the girl I was dating at the time who was with me, and I was like, look at this. Like, he's like, this is like people came from out of town. The news has reported that, but like this was a planned thing. Like, you had an actual protest going on over here, with the police there, and then no police were here, so and it went on for however long it went on. But either way, we've been open in LA for 5 years, and it's been great. Like, it's nice to have a store in a climate that doesn't have real winter. I've become a little bit of a snowbird, but it's cool. I really like there's so many gyms out here in comparison, like coming from New York, where a lot of them went with the pandemic, which sucks. They're starting to pop open more, though. It's like a new generation of gym owners coming up in New York City. A lot of the guys I knew to be like local like Muay Thai fighters or MMA fighters are starting to like open up their own gyms, which is really cool to me. I'm interested to see how the combat sport community goes in New York City. Because some big gyms closed up. I don't know why they closed up. If it was pandemic related or just like screw this. But some big ones closed up in New York, so it's a lot less. But out here, man, there's like can't drive 10 feet. Well, that's an exaggeration. Can't drive 10 miles without running into some sort of combat sport like gym, which is really cool.
I've heard that SoCal or LA is per capita has the most like martial arts gyms.
I believe that.
I'm not sure since the pandemic, if that's still true, but
it seemed like
between all the traditional martial arts and everything else,
So that's one thing LA has over New York all day long is like the karate and the taekwondo community here is extensive. In New York, you do karate when you're a kid because your parents want some extra time after school, kinda. Like, I'm sorry to anybody who does karate seriously in New York. Like, that's cool. Like, do your thing.
Yeah.
But like that is how I knew karate, and taekwondo and things like that. But that's out here. It's a whole different ballgame. Out here, like our first store manager ever in our LA store, Kenji, who's now a doctor, He's a doctorate. That's why he's no longer a store manager. He was a big like Kyokushin guy. Still to this day competes. Or I think I saw he competed. I'm not sure. Either way, it's like he explained, gave me the whole rundown when we first opened. I was like, wow, like it's a completely different world in New York. It's just cool. So yeah, I am not surprised at all that from probably Los Angeles down to the end of California, there's the most gyms.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it seems like a perfect fit. When we appreciate, you know, all the students that always come in with the super rare gear, you know.
I mean, thank you. That's testament to you guys, man. Yeah. Thank you. A lot of people.
And they bring in the coupons, and it's just cool, you know.
We always go out of our way to make sure we represent the gym that sends us people, or the coach that sends us people, as much as we represent our own brand in the store too. Like if you sent, you know, one of your students to us, like it's in my opinion, in the way our staff is trained, it's their job and my job to further confirm their decision to train with you, you know, and train here. But also your students are lovely. Like there's never been someone who's come in from Legacy who's been a dick. And they all speak so highly of you. You should know that.
Oh, thank you.
And
thank you.
Also all of your other coaches here as well. Andy's my homie. I very much like him. He teaches a great class. That's the first time I've ever trained with Andy. And what I appreciate is that he forced me to do all the combinations in southpaw, which my brain just shut off. I forgot how to...
Getting out of your comfort zone, right? Oh my, you're like, no, I don't want to do that.
He goes jab.
He's so enthusiastic. He's like, all right, I'll do it.
Well, like, I love that. Like, I very much enjoy being out of my comfort zone as much as I hate it in the moment. But, like, he goes jab when I'm southpaw. I threw a cross, which is my normal jab. And he goes, no, like, jab. He goes, you jab with your front hand. And in my head, I was like... I mean, fuck. Like, I know. I know, but my whole brain shut off. It's crazy. But I got better, like, you know, because he made me do it, I got better at it as the class went on.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, I really enjoyed his class. But
Awesome.
You know, I always, thank you for having me that day, by the way. I very much enjoy this gym. And it's, like, impressively large. Like, when you're parking your car, you're like, I don't know what to expect. I've been in here before the other day, but... Wow, dude, you built an awesome spot.
Thank you.
But yeah, man.
Teamwork makes the dream work. We have an amazing team, you know, that everybody works really hard, you know, and for the greater good, you know, to help people be their best.
That's kind of what this does, is help people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things about combat sports. Like, it's just how it impacts people's lives. And just even somebody whose life doesn't need any impact, their life is positively impacted, which is kind of dope. You know, like
all types of people, right?
Yeah, dude, I was fine. I wasn't like aggro. I wasn't like super introverted. I wasn't like a dick. But when I started doing jiu-jitsu, it made me more patient, for sure, in business and like in decision making. Made me more analytical. It's awesome. And like what it does for people who suffer from like, you know, depression or I am the most anxious person in any room for no reason, and it really does help. It really does help, man. It's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like what do they say? Like the dopamine rush when you're training. I don't know if it's just doing something.
It's a lot of things, right? A lot of all those hormones, the friendships, how you feel being around others, right? The you know, the touch, right? The being the mind, you know, you have to be totally in the moment, in the present, right? When you're fighting, right?
That's
that
what
meditation,
I think it is for
moving
me.
meditation, you're not thinking about anything else, right?
That's what I think does it for me and my anxiety, is that there is nothing else going through my mind other than the task at hand. And that's hard for me to do, like personally. So like I have to like police myself to stop working. That's the worst part about having no boss or being your own boss, is telling yourself to stop. That's hard, man.
I was going to ask you, like, your parents, you know, like, how did you stop? I'm always interested in, like, what did your, like, you grew up in New York? You grew up in Long Island?
I grew up in Rockaway Beach, so
Queens, okay.
Yeah. My parents owned beauty salons. So my dad was a hairdresser, and my mom, they both owned it, but my mom ran it. I'm going to be honest. And so I grew up hanging out in the salon. I used to but I was a little hustler. I used to take their shampoo and build a table like this outside of it and sell their own shampoo outside, all cash to their customers. So my parents were business owners growing up, which have proved to be great now because they, especially since 2020, have been able to provide a lot of good just insight. You know, a lot of good insight because they've been through a lot. They've been through 2 recessions. They've since sold the business and my mom's a teacher. She also she is a library media specialist and does a lot of really cool work with kids that don't get a ton of attention from other people. And so she's the smartest woman I know, and I'm hoping they retire soon. But my dad's essentially retired, and my mom is still teaching, but they sold the salon since. So, but just their insight of dealing with what they've dealt with as business owners has, if anything, provided not just clarity, but comfort in a weird way. It's just sometimes you feel like you're on an island when you own your own business. I'm the only one experiencing this issue or supply chain issues and all that crap. And then you're wait a minute, the whole world is. And this isn't anyone's first rodeo. Businesses have gone through this, this nonsense of being shut down for 4 months, and expected to pay rent still, crazy shit. That experience that they have is coming clutch.
I mean, man, New York City, right? New York City was shut down, right? Essentially.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, same thing. It was just like here, just smaller apartments and less outdoor.
But space. Because you had a shop, right? And in the city still, right? When you had the LA store.
Yeah. So.
And then all that was going on during the 2020. And so the city was everything was like a ghost town, right? In a way.
I was in New York for the lockdown. I wasn't here. Because I lived in New York full time then. I live out here full time because my brother and Pat are in New York. And so it was something, man. I'll never forget. So I was I wouldn't get on the subway. Because if anything I've learned in New York is that when shit like that hits the fan, you just don't get on the subway. It's a really good way to get stabbed. So
stabbed.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, the subways were popping off during the lockdown. I wouldn't get on. So I used to ride my bike to Chelsea a lot in the city. So kind of by Marcello's, 26th and the west side. And so it was pouring rain. I was riding my bike through the rain over the Brooklyn Bridge, which if you're on a bicycle, you never ride your bike over the Brooklyn Bridge. And any other circumstance other than New York City being shut down because tourists who don't speak English are just walking willy-nilly in the bike lane. It's a really good way to just ruin your day. You're yelling at people who don't understand English, so they're, it could be from all over the world because it's the Brooklyn Bridge.
Except that day, nobody was there.
No. So I'm riding up this. I used to live right next to the Brooklyn Bridge. So I'm you know what? New York City shut down. Rather than ride to the Manhattan Bridge, let me just ride over the Brooklyn Bridge right here. It's pouring rain. No one's going to be on it. That was exactly it. For probably the only time in my entire life, I was the only person on the Brooklyn Bridge. And when I got down to the other end, to the Manhattan side, there's always a police officer on both ends, even during a lockdown, apparently. And so he stops me. He's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Should I be inside? I don't know really the rules of this lockdown. It's been 2 days." And he goes, "No." He's like, "I don't know if you've noticed, but you were just the only person on the." I was thinking it, and I was like, "Oh, so yeah, dude, I was just thinking that." He's like, "It's probably a once in a lifetime thing, man." He's like, "I was thinking of walking up there just to say I was too." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm gonna go because I'm soaking wet," but thanks for pointing it out. So it was bizarre, dude. I'll never forget riding up 6th Avenue right after that. Wow. And there was this is also a little heartbreaking, but there was a homeless guy in a wheelchair. He didn't need the wheelchair because he was moving himself around with his legs. Maybe he needed it. I don't know. Who am I to speculate? But either way, doesn't have a TV. He was just pushing himself with his legs in this wheelchair on West 4th Street, just yelling at the top of his lungs, "Where is everybody?" And I was like, this is some
end of the world.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic shit.
In the city.
That shook me for a day because this was right at the beginning. No one knew what was happening. No one knew what COVID was. And I'm like, I get to where I was going. I was like, yo, this might be serious. What's happening?
Man, we never closed the gym really, right? And we closed I think they announced it the next day, but we were trying to decide what to do, right? Marcelo and all these guys were closing up. And so I was like, I wanted to be sure I was making the right decision. It's like, okay, we better close up. We closed up, right, on the Saturday. And on the Monday, they closed everything up on Sunday. On Monday, I was here on Victory Boulevard, right here with my friend, my Brazilian friend, Alexandre. And we have our espresso at 11 o'clock, and usually it's packed. There's no room, right? There's no, you can see all these cars coming in and out. And we were just sitting there. There was no cars in the street. The coffee place across the street was open. Our cafe was open, that's a jungle. But there's nobody in the street. No cars driving by. It was like the end of the world.
Yeah.
It was the end of the world. And we're just sitting there like, all right. And, we have a routine, right? We're like, and so like, what are we going to do, So I just started a random, because I teach at noon, a random Facebook Live, thing, on Facebook, just to kind of just kind of connect. And I don't know. It seemed like the right thing to do,
It was, I was here in
and
LA.
then I shifted over to Zoom, and all that. But I'll never forget that moment. It's funny too. One of the guys, Casey, I'll never forget that conversation too. On the Saturday, he was the last guy in the gym. He was hitting the bag, and I was like, I walked by, and I was turning off the lights, and we're like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And I don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah,
and so that was the question for you, like what were you thinking? What's gonna happen?
And all the
stories, all that hard work, right? All those years, you gave up your corporate to go into
I
to
would
this.
have been damned if anyone put us out of business that wasn't my own poor decisions. Like if I put us out of business, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn from my mistakes and
Yeah.
figure it out in the future. But I'm not letting something I cannot genuinely control put me out of business. There's no way. I mean, we've
Made
never
a decision.
I never worked harder on anything in my life than those 4 months, is making sure our website blew up because no one could leave and people were training at home. Our website was popular before, but it was insane. So like I was able to.
So that was one of the pluses, huh?
Yeah, that's
instead
what kept
of being being.
Yeah, dude, that's what kept us alive. Like that's why, essentially, stores are closed. So like the website's what we had to made sure everything went out. USPS, who we used, was dropping the ball heavily because COVID. I mean, they had to abide by the rules, so everything was slower. It was a whole thing, but we made it. We made it. We're
upgraded the website. Yeah, things better.
That's that's what we did. And then it was just one of those things where now that we're back open, there are still issues caused by COVID that are still happening now. Like the ports are all screwed up. Like the production is still super slow. Brands that we carry that are all handmade, like the Fair Texas and the Winnings and a lot of the Thai brands and the Winnings, their production's even slower. They're still catching up. So we still got a long way to go before things are like
normal,
business as usual. And I'm not like sitting there, sitting there trying to figure out what the hell port congestion means and why, our shipment has been. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm involved with the fitness brand TacFit.
Yes.
Right, and so we import really from different places. So I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
It's something that
one thing is just the delay of them sending it, right? But then the delay of it's here at port, but
we have no information for you. Yeah, that's it.
It's out there for like a couple of months, right? Usually it's like boom, turn around, boom, it's in, and then they're so backed up because nobody's working at the port, right? That it takes like I don't know how long for it to get through. Forget if it's flagged or anything.
Oh God, forget if it's flagged.
That's a whole other thing, right?
That's a whole other thing, man.
But it's just like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, right?
All it takes is one mistake on the paperwork, and it can get flagged like that and hold it up for a few weeks. So, I'm just really thankful that that's my brother's day today. And I hope he hears this and he knows that I respect the hell out of him for dealing with that. I'm the one that'll shoot him a text, which is probably very frustrating for him. And I know it is, but I also need the information.
Yeah.
But hey, any update on this shipment? I followed up yesterday. It's like still sitting on a boat, waiting to be unloaded. It sucks. I don't envy that he handles that, but that's not easy. But it's definitely still something us, and not just us, like every business is really
everybody's
still
used to the supply
with.
chain things,
It's
like
it's
everybody's waiting.
That.
It's all good,
Yeah, it's gonna
everybody's
be
used
like
to
that
it
for
now.
a little bit. It's like I'm just hoping it goes away, because I'd like to. I'd like to stop stressing about that. But it's, you know, I'm happy that the combat sport community messes with us enough to help us get through this.
Yeah.
You know, like that is one thing that really shows up, is that we're still here. You know, like I said, we don't have anyone else's. This is all us. Right? We have no investors. So, you know, it's cool. It's really cool, man. And to continue to grow. It's just something we're really focused on still throughout all this.
You know, I remember seeing, well, one of the first times I noticed you guys was online, probably during the pandemic.
Ramped up that marketing.
Like the paper ads on social media and stuff, you know. But you guys had, I was, you know, pay attention to the, you know, the look and the, you know, the what you had, right, stuff, and it was cool, you know.
Thanks.
It was like, yeah, it was like, I think you had Mike Tyson gear, maybe.
We used to be the exclusive retailer of Roots of Fight. We did have Mike Tyson stuff, but Mike Tyson has since pulled his license from all his licensees and makes his own stuff now. He does collaborations, which I would love to do one with Mike Tyson, being all born and raised New Yorkers.
Yeah.
But no one has Tyson stuff except Tyson. We have the Ali license. Once we stopped carrying Roots of Fight, was because we went out and got the Ali license, the Bruce Lee license.
Bruce Lee, okay.
Yeah, I know you like Bruce Lee. We sold out of all of it. We have new stuff coming. I got you.
Cool.
We have Ali, Bruce Lee, Street Fighter, which has been really, you know, because the idea is to be fight adjacent. You know, like you don't need to train to wear an Ali shirt. You don't need to train to wear a Bruce Lee shirt. You don't need to train to wear a Street Fighter shirt. But people who do train typically gravitate towards that kind of stuff. And so it's nice to appeal to both markets. But the Street Fighter license is one of my favorites. That's been doing really well for us. We just released our Rocky collaboration. Oh. So we now have the Rocky Balboa license.
All right. Don't be hating, Kevin. I'm a nerd, man. I'm a Rocky Balboa nerd, and all these, you know, it's so funny, right? It's like, man, don't you get enough of this stuff? You know, I'm like wearing it still on my.
No, dude, and, you know, it's like I said, it's a lifestyle, man. But like, what's cool about Rocky is that
my god,
soundtrack. What's cool about Rocky is that we also have the Leroy Neiman license, who's the artist that did a lot of the Ali Frazier posters. He did a lot of artwork surrounding Muhammad Ali in general and boxing in general. He also is the artist that did at the end of Rocky 3, when Rocky and Apollo punch each other and they turn into a painting. That's Leroy Neiman. And because we have the Ali and the Frazier license, it makes sense to have the Leroy Neiman license because no one really else does. And so we can do use all his artwork. So our Rocky stuff is all, this first line is based around the Leroy Neiman artwork that he did, including the last frame of Rocky 3, which no one's really ever done, at least licensed before. But it's cool. So we have those, and then I feel like I'm forgetting one. Joe Frazier, but we got a lot, and and then we also come out with our own stuff.
Yeah.
And like discipline specific stuff, which is our own as well, like jiu-jitsu versus everybody. Like we own those words, so we make a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like we like to do put a streetwear kind of flair on combat sports stuff, which no one really does. I'm sure maybe some more people will start doing now that I'm on this podcast, but you know.
Yeah, the first people that I feel like did it right was like Roots of Fight, you know?
Yeah. The
like the quality with the sizing chart and just the quality of the stuff too, you know, the shirts and things like that. And then cool designs, you know, that you could like wear out, and you know, I guess maybe Affliction, right? But it was never my style, you know. It was too like gaudy, you know.
That's what we tried. I really like Tom. For the record, he's been very nice to me, but not my style either. Yeah. We wanted to do the opposite, more understated, you know, kind of like your favorite band's T-shirt. Like I'm not trying to go out and you know, make a statement, but like, you know, if you did, it's like make a statement to the right people.
Man, that was because it had Samuel Braga. He's the guy who kind of developed that Berimbolo game. He was here a few weeks back, and I used to train at Team Quest with Dan Henderson. You know,
and he was a big gym too.
Yeah. Back when I was fighting MMA, and he was sponsored by Affliction, and so they would give him all this stuff, you know, and he would hook up all those guys, you know. And Samuel Braga was with me. He's a small, really talented, you know, world champion Brazilian guy. and he got like a whole suitcase of affliction gear because I didn't like he gave it to me too, but I didn't like.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like. It wasn't my style, you know. But he got his whole suit. I'll never forget it, like a whole suitcase of affliction gear. And it was like, you know, it's expensive, right? It was expensive. It wasn't cheap. So he wore it for like, I remember seeing him wearing it for years, you know.
That's funny.
But I was like, I always liked that stuff, but just the right style. So I really appreciated when Roots of Fight came out with their stuff. And then once I started seeing your guys' stuff too, like on the paper ads, you know, and then just seeing you guys are like started evolving and, you know, just getting better and better and better, right? With
I appreciate that. I know my brother will tell me to tell you thank you as well, because he really designs all of it.
Oh, wow.
He'll send it to me and Pat just for like thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think? But it's all him. Like really, everything from our gloves to our shin guards to our headgear to our T-shirts, our joggers, like the whole nine. He just does it all. It's cool, you know, and it's like as Roots of Fight moves more away from fighting, and they're going more into like
baseball and
football and like
and
civil rights and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, it's just more space for us, you know, like which is cool because I personally.
It's interesting, right? They're doing like football and baseball and just kind of what other thing? I just see that a lot more, you know. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like barely the fight stuff. Which is cool. I'm not opposed to it.
What kind of sports do you like? Just curious.
Football, fighting, hockey.
Okay, hockey and football.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, besides once I used to play soccer. I went to high school in New York City, in Staten Island.
Yeah.
You know, I lived in the city for 6 months.
I was going to say, where did you play soccer in high school? And I realized
went to the Final Four actually of the city.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. What was I going to say? I played soccer, but once I started doing jiu-jitsu and then got into the fight stuff, you know, all I watch is combat stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it be, you know, jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, whatever, fight stuff. Unless World Cup soccer, which is happening this year.
Is that this year?
2022 Qatar.
Oh, jeez.
They have it this year. Usually it's in the summer, but this year because it's in Qatar and they can't play in the summer, so they're playing in like November, December. So World Cup soccer and Summer Olympics. And the reason why I love World Cup soccer is because, I mean, I don't know if you've been in different countries when they have the World Cup playing.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, right? So I used to live in Brazil for many years, but just I also grew up in Germany. So like, I've been around it, and I just love how everybody gets behind, you know, their country. You're those guys on the squad. They're representing to the death, right? Their country, their people.
I experienced it once in my life.
And so everything's on your shoulders. It's just so cool. It's so cool.
I used to.
It's so cool.
I experienced once in my life.
When you lose, you let everybody down. You know, when you win, you're on.
They're passionate. So I don't follow soccer, and so like the only experience I had is that I used to date this girl from Germany years ago. Whenever Germany won the World Cup.
In Brazil, this last one.
Was that the last one? Mm-hmm. So
that Germany won, yeah.
So was that like 4 years ago? More?
France won last.
So yeah, it was the one before that.
The one before that, yeah. Well, yeah.
Either way, she takes me to this German bar in the West Village in New York to watch the final. It was when they won, I got picked up by this dude who I did not know. Just put me on his shoulders. He's running around. I'm like, I'm gonna die tonight, but this is crazy. It was cool to see. Like they kept coming up to me because I was clearly not German, and they'd be like, "Who are you rooting for?" And I'd be like, Germany. I just, soccer, it wasn't a big thing in my household, so I just never got. But I can appreciate any high level sport like anyone else. So I was watching it. I was like, this is great. There's a lot on the line, but outside of that, it's the only time ever for us in New York City where tourism stops.
World Cup
The World Cup is when tourism stops. There's we don't get a single tourist.
Such a melting pot, right, of all different cultures from around the world.
Big.
So it's like, from the Italians to the, everybody
whose team, because you have to qualify for it.
Right.
So everybody whose country makes it, we don't see those countries in our stores for however long. It's cool. So you're into soccer. Do you like football, hockey? or American football rather?
You know, I used to watch it when I was in high school, when I was younger. But like I said, once I got into like fighting stuff, like that's all I watch, unless it's the World Cup.
Yeah.
Or Summer Olympics. I get into it too.
What do you like in the Summer Olympics?
Of course, I like the combat things, you know, but you know, I like track and field. I like all the, you know, a lot of, you know, even swimming. I watch all the stuff, you know, gymnastics, you know.
Like, I'm never looking to watch it, but
Right.
like whenever it's on, I'll get super into volleyball. Almost like last time someone just had it on, it happened to be volleyball, whatever that was, and I was like, I am into this. Like, I start picking sides. Like, it's cool.
It's, you know, because it's like, man, you spend your whole life pretty much, right, getting to this point to make the Olympic team, and then you go to the Olympics. You know, just like it's pretty it's special.
Yeah.
Special and representing your country.
You think jiu-jitsu will ever make it to the Olympics?
I mean, right, like the IBJJF, you know, if you do the rules things, right, their goal is not to go to not be an Olympic sport.
Huh.
Because they want to keep the self-defense, like martial art aspect, right? Like have it be real to a fight. Whereas judo turned to, you know, it used to be more like Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But his goal was to make it more spectator-friendly, so he took away the ground stuff. Right, there's Yogoro Kano, the founder of judo. So he took away the ground stuff to make it more, you know, throwing more spectator-friendly. And so they lost a little bit of, you know, the true nature. And that's why the Gracies, when they came out in the 90s, like, you know, they were like, you know, they kept the essence of it, really, you know.
Interesting.
That with stuff that really works. And, you know, if you look at old judo videos, they're doing X guard and they're doing all this, like, you know, this higher level stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Do I think it's going to be in the Olympics? I mean, the Sheik and different people have invested in it going to the Olympics, right? There's different people that are investing in a Fila grappling, like different people wanted to go to the Olympics. So I think in some form, you know, I think in some form, you know, I think maybe some like a grappling or I don't know, something like that. I mean, it's becoming so popular.
That it is.
It's becoming so popular. I mean, like even like the Judo Federation, they have to have like a Niwaza, like a ground kind of federation, because people they're doing jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu so much, right? And they're not going to the, you know, to judo, right? So it's jiu-jitsu is growing so much. I mean, this last Master Worlds, I mean, there was like I think 8,000-9,000 people there.
Whoa. We had a lot. I was at the store
athletes,
all weekend. Whoa.
Athletes.
I wanted to do Master. I got so excited when I turned 30. I was like, thank God, I don't have to compete against these like 17-year-old prodigies anymore. Jesus. I didn't know. I think we want to be involved in Master Worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
Next year.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It should be. But I also want to not only sponsor it, but I also want to compete in it. I haven't competed in years, and I think it would be cool. I've never competed against someone my age. So that would be dope.
Yeah, it's tough. It's good. It's good.
Maybe I can
nice.
hold out to make it to Masters 2, and I'll be even better. But it's
a lifestyle, right? So it's like it's cool because you can always keep doing it. You know, different age groups, and it's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying to you earlier, like I haven't put on a gi in like 3 years, but I trained this morning in a gi and it's fine. It's totally fine. My face looks a little closer to Freddy Krueger than normal, but like it was fine. It's like riding a bike with, you know, people trying to choke you, but it was fun. So it is a lifestyle. I intend to do this for the rest, as long as I have limbs and hips. I will 100% be training for the rest of my life. But it's what I love about events like ADCC or Master Worlds is when you get to talking to people. The only thing that sucks is they have to be very quick conversations because there's so many people.
Yeah.
But all the walks of life. That's the cool part, especially like Master Worlds where it's mostly adults. You know, it's all adults. Cool to see what people do for a living and what people, like what their journey was, kind of. You know, like you're out here competing. You likely flew out here for this, and you know this is a huge part of your life. But you're also like, I don't know, small business owner or like a doctor. Or that's always so cool to me, and that's always what I bring up to people who are ignorant of that in the store. They're like, yeah, but like I can't train. I'm a this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's weird because I have 18 of those who shop in our LA store. Like, I'm a college student. I'm like, cool. I can tell you some gyms I know give like breaks to college students. Like, there's always a way. It's my goal to make everyone train because I'm a firm believer that if everybody trains some sort of combat sport, this would be a substantially better world.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah, like I firmly also believe that everyone should get hit in the face once, at least once. You know,
at least once.
At least once, just to know what it feels like, just to get checked a little bit.
Yeah.
If there's anything I'm good at, it's getting hit. I'm so good at getting hit. So like
more humility, right?
Yeah, you know, like it's like, but striking is newer for me. So like jiu-jitsu I've been doing for almost 9 years now. Striking really is seriously, like sparring frequently and stuff like that. Seriously striking, I've only really done for 5 years, you know? So with sparring and all of it. And I'm still it's cool to suck, but like the difference, you know, sucking at jiu-jitsu doesn't feel great, but you could tap. Sucking at striking, you just keep getting hit.
Brain damage.
Oh my God. You know, I'm not there yet, but you know, defense. Yeah, dude. CTE is real, but like,
you know, man, like the bang Muay Thai that we do here, it's really cool, right? Because I feel like it's, you know, it's like drilling, right? But you get the spatial awareness. You know, you need to spar too, of course, but it really teaches you. I think it helps you, you know, get that spatial awareness, right? And learn combos and things like that. You know,
I love it. You know, it's
and the
like
movement, you know, with the striking.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
touch style, right? Like
it's
Muay Thai.
I like all
with all the you know, MMA stuff mixed in. And
so I think
Dwayne Bang style.
Yes. So like I think that style Muay Thai transitions so well into MMA. And it's cool to see it done at its like highest level. You get a guy like TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah.
You watch him just
won the UFC championship, right?
Yeah,
straight up
unreal,
with the combos.
Like, seeing it all in real time.
Yeah.
For me, it's funny. Like Andy the other day goes like, all right, guys, we're gonna like throw a 2. So I'm like, okay. So I threw a cross, and he's like, no. This is a 2-body Holland, and I'm like, all right, what? I'm like, I'm just gonna watch everybody. But when he explains it, I'm like, wow. That's if I was your opponent fighting you and I was listening to your corner and I heard, you know, throw the 2 or 2 body, I'd, you know, maybe drop my hands a little lower because I'm thinking you're going to throw a cross to my stomach. But no, there was a series of punches and kicks, and it was dope. And then the footwork was cool.
Yeah.
And what Andy was really good about was anytime I stepped too far or too close, he corrected me every time, and then he made me do a southpaw, which literally short-circuited my brain, which I also very much enjoy because I think everyone, I mean, it's uncomfortable, and I'm not terrible orthodox, you know? My striking's gotten a lot better than 5 years ago, but I am horrible southpaw. And, like, even 5 years in, I can imagine getting a guy who's been striking for 2 decades who's never done southpaw, who would look just like I did on Monday, being like, I'm not going to do this, more of like an ego thing. But I say, fuck it. You know, it's awesome to know how to fight. And then you see guys like TJ who can switch stances so fluidly and be as dangerous from orthodox or southpaw. And that's a reflection of Bang Muay Thai. I think it's dope.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped and, you know, proud to have known Dwayne and just seeing him work himself in the fight game, you know, him fighting and stuff and doing the things that he's done. You know, he would have been the lineal UFC champ. You know, he should have, you know, cause he knocked out Jens Pulver in this organization because Jens Pulver, they took him out of I think they stopped the lightweight division in the UFC. Lightweight. He fought at lightweight, you know, Jens Pulver. And then he beat, who did he beat? BJ Penn, I think, right? Yeah, BJ Penn. Yeah, he beat BJ Penn. It was like a super upset. Because BJ Penn was just, you know, phenom, right? The phenom. And then Jens Pulver, you know, he left the UFC. They cut the division, I think. And then Dwayne fought Jens Pulver out of the UFC organization, this thing called TKO, I believe, and knocked him out, knocked out Jens Pulver. Because Jens Pulver was he was well-rounded, but like he would knock people out too, right?
Wow.
Striker.
Yeah. Wow.
So he could have been, right? You know. So I'm proud. You know, I'm proud to
that's
knowing
great.
him and seeing him. You know, like ups and downs over the years, and then just his brain, the way he thinks. I'm a big fan.
He's a phenomenal coach. Like that's when I came into
smart. You know, smart
doing all this stuff, and then also being like the mega fan. I don't think there's a UFC or UFC I've missed, period. It's funny when you get guys in the store who are like
There's
hard.
so many now, you know. There's so many. Back in the day, it was like, you never miss one, but now there's just so many.
That's the beauty of having you got to come to the store, but we have like 100-foot projector that's constantly playing fights.
Okay.
Constantly in the store, so we always put on live fights.
Stuff.
Oh, we put them on live.
Oh wow.
I also make sure to buy the pay-per-view on the store's accounts so they can play the pay-per-view the next day.
Cool.
Which is just a cool thing.
Yeah,
if you notice it, great. If you don't notice it when you're shopping, like also
the little
great.
things, right?
But it's that's cool because I would miss them all because I'm always in the store on the weekends. But thank God for that projector, so I don't. But even boxing too, just that with boxing there is no like UFC major like promotion that's bigger than them all. Boxing, they're all pretty decently sized promotions, like the top ones. So it's hard to keep up. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, there's boxing on tonight. Like
during the ADCC, right? There was the Triple G and who else was going on that night?
Oh my, dude, that weekend,
UFC, right?
Yeah, it was the UFC, Triple G and Canelo, ADCC, and then the Raiders playing on Sunday. Yeah. The fact that any of us found hotel rooms for under $1 million a night.
They had a rodeo too, right? Their rodeo event.
The hotel, we didn't know we were going to be there, so we didn't have like a hotel. So Pat, my business partner, was going to ADCC anyway, so he had a hotel. So me and Alex, our videographer, end up at this hotel called the Orleans, like a little bit further. Not bad. I won't be honest, not bad. For the price on a weekend like that, where most hotel rooms I looked were like $1,000 a night, like that last minute. Not bad. It was clean. It was dated, but it was clean. The restaurants were good. They had this one like pub food, kind of like American style restaurant. Fantastic. Table minimum on a Saturday night was $15. I might stay at the Orleans going forward forever. It was really funny, but everything that could go on that weekend was, and then when we got there, we found out there was also a what are they like bodybuilding? Is it bodybuilding when they're like going up there like what Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do? Like the body competition. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, bodybuilding.
Yeah, bodybuilding, whatever. There was a
contest.
There was one of those going on.
Okay, championship.
All of them were staying in our hotel.
Okay.
So like all of these men and women are both so tall and in shape. What is happening? And then I asked one of them, and it was like it was a bodybuilding competition. It was cool. I mean, everything that could be going on was going on. Oh, also the Orleans has free valet.
Boom.
I'm saying,
Boom.
Not bad, man.
Boom.
Not bad for an off-strip hotel. At first, I thought we were likely to get murdered, and then we got there, and I was like, okay, it's actually not bad.
Man, go back to the store. What kind of things do you have?
We specialize in boxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and wrestling, and non-douchey apparel. And everything you could possibly
MMA
need.
gloves, all your Muay Thai, boxing, shin pads.
Every brand that you want. Period. But everything is down to ankle supports and finger tape and armbar soap to my favorites when someone comes in, they're like, "Do you guys sell hand wraps?" Like, we'd be the worst fucking fight shop on earth if we didn't sell hand wraps. But like everything you can possibly need from the brands you want, that you want. So as these sports get bigger, come a lot of so many new boxing glove brands out there, and not all of them are great. So like we're really good at finding except for like the Cleto Reyes and the Winnings and the Rivals, like those brands are proven, but like we're really good at finding really high quality stuff for.
What are some good up and coming brands that
I mean,
quality.
SUPERARE is one, but as far as like, I really like the half sumo stuff.
You guys make boxing gloves?
Oh yeah, so SUPERARE is a brand. We don't just carry our own stuff, but we make gis, no gi stuff, like spats, shorts, rash guards of all different designs and stuff. Make gloves, various different kinds of gloves at all ranging price points. What's cool about our stuff is that if we charge you $99 for a glove, that's all handmade buffalo leather, like injection mold foam, like the very high. Like most brands would charge you like $120 to $150, but we're able to charge much less, which is why people really like our stuff because the value is unreal. You can get a really high end glove for $100 or below. We also make high end stuff. We have a whole line of gloves that are handmade in Milan, Italy.
Oh wow!
Those are designed to compete with like the Reyes and the Winnings. They're on that level of quality. I use those. I happen to really like those. But I really like, as far as other brands are concerned, because I really like Half Sumo. I think they do a lot
Half
of cool.
Sumo?
Yeah. If you're unfamiliar, they're based out of New York. They're Henzo guys, and they are very kind. But Luigi, the guy who, I think he owns it, he's definitely the artist for it. He is very talented. He does cool stuff. I've always liked the guys from Moya. I think they make really solid quality gis. We've just started making and carrying more of our own gis because we can charge less. And if brand A charges $198 for their gi, like so do we. Like we have to. So if we can save people some money, because times are tough. Gas is $7 a gallon again. I just saw. And groceries are more expensive. Everyone's stocks are down. So if we can, people like our gis. If we can make our own and charge way less than anyone else, then why not? But I really like the Moya stuff. Their quality is there. They're worth every penny. And yeah, those are my two favorite brands. They just happen to be jiu-jitsu brands. Right now, glove-wise, in my opinion, outside of our stuff, there aren't too many. I mean, there's one brand that we don't carry. I don't think we'll ever be able to carry because Trevor Whitman can't make enough of them, but Onyx makes a wonderful product. I mean, if he could, I don't know if he can. If he hears this, dude, I happen to really like his gloves. That's like one glove or brand we don't carry, I think, where he really does a very good job at making quality products. His boxing gloves, his MMA gloves, they're very good. But outside of that, like there's a lot of new brands, but the thing is that it's really easy to go to a factory in Pakistan and have them just put your logo on like a template they have and then call yourself like a boxing glove brand. It's a lot more nuance to it. And you could do that, but that's a lot of what's happening, and it's okay. It's okay. But again, I really like our gloves. A lot of people do, but some people will hate them. Not every glove is for everybody, which is back to what I was saying before. That's why we exist. My staff will never push our glove on you, ever. If you like it and it fits you well, then yeah, get it. It's the best value for sure in any price point. If we charge $130 for a glove, that glove would likely be $160 to $180 from whatever brand. So that's why we exist. I always tell people, especially since we like to play compare and contrast, put like one glove on one hand, a different brand on another, and whatever weight they're looking for. Ask them like how it feels, anything feel a little different. And I always have to tell them, you won't hurt my feelings if you don't like the SUPERARE one. It's okay. Not everything's for everybody, man.
Right.
So it's like, that's why we're here. So it's, but yeah, some brands I like are Half Sumo and Moya.
Why not just be online? Why have a store?
That's a golden question, man. It's
because that's something I appreciate, because I can't imagine that it's a lot more work and just, ridiculous, right?
I mean,
compared to
why? Because that's the beauty of it. Like other websites sell combat sports shit. But who's going to have the balls to open up a combat sports store on fucking Melrose Avenue? We do, but one of the coolest, we didn't realize kind of how that would impact people who've been in this game longer than we have. So I've become friends with a guy named Ernie Reyes Jr., who I happen to love. I recognize nobody, literally ever. So he told me he was in our fitting room. We have a Surf Ninjas photo in our fitting room, and I was like, "Oh shit, dude, that's you. That's amazing." He's a sweetheart of a human. But he said to me, he goes, "Dude, you have no idea how cool it is to me growing up over here to have a fight store on Melrose." And I was like, "I'm from New York, and that's not why we opened up here, but that's awesome to me that is, he thinks that's cool, and other people have said that to me. Also, so you guys it's cool to see combat sports make it to a trendy street like Melrose. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Same thing with the Lower East Side. Where we're open in the Lower East Side is essentially the New York equivalent to Melrose. It's it's a little gritty, but also high end at the same time in a weird way. A lot of hype beastie stores, but a lot of restaurants, and so it's the same, but New York. It's a little different and cold sometimes. But Yeah, I mean, it's like have the stores to have the connection. You know,
The connection.
People know
Connect
this
with the
about
community. Connect with the people.
Yeah, it's one thing you order from us online. Maybe you'll send me an email and we'll interact that way. But if I can chew your ear off in my store and just help you with gloves, I've been told I'm a great salesman. I haven't even started selling people shit yet. I've been involved in SUPERARE for 8 years, and I'm just passionate. I just love this shit. And I'm excited that you love this shit too. So, like, let's be best friends. But people are like, you're a great salesman. I'm like, I didn't even start selling you shit. I'm just answering your questions and having a conversation with you. You just wait till I start selling you shit. Then you're screwed. But the stores are a big part because it helps us connect with the community. And for a store like us, whose like mantra is that we are a part of the combat sport community, it would be hard for us to get that point across and really share our passion for combat sports without the stores. You know, is it definitely harder? Oh yeah, absolutely. But like, you could just go online, but then you lose your, I don't want to say street cred, because we've been doing this for long enough where we know enough people, but you kind of lose your street cred because that's really where all your competition is online, and people have a ton of options. But in store in New York, we're it, like I was saying. But like, again, we built this whole business on honesty and integrity. So like, doesn't matter if we're it or not. But like out here, we have like competition, if you want to call it that. But you know, like they're not a part of the community. Like we're a part of the community. So it's, to me, it's a big difference maker. To me, it's just, and it's fun, man. Like being in the store, like seeing kids, you know, this is the one, I meet so many little killers, man. You see this kid, like, oh, like, how old are you, man? He's like 15. Like,
You have kids stuff as well?
Yeah. We sold out of kids gloves, but we just got them back in New York, and they're on their way to LA now.
Okay.
But you'll get this kid, like, when I say kid, I mean like 15. Like, oh, how old are you, dude? And he's trying on headgear. He'd be like, oh, I'm 15. Like, oh, how long have you been boxing for? 14 years. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, you learned how to walk and box at the same time. We get a lot of those in there too, and that's just cool, man. And getting to interact with parents who see my passion for it, or like the best is when you get like a concerned mother or father, and they're like, you know, they're like, will this make my kid more violent? Like, absolutely not. Like the opposite. Kids who know how to fight don't fight. It's plain and simple. You know, like the vast majority, say. You know, kids who are confident, who don't have anything to prove, are not going to go start fights in the schoolyard.
Right.
You know, and God forbid they have no choice but to defend themselves. You should be even more comfortable knowing that they can, especially if it's something like jiu-jitsu, which, you know, you don't necessarily have to really hurt somebody to, you know, wait for a teacher to come or something like that. So like to have those connections and build those kinds of relationships, that's important. You know, there's a lot of brands online, a lot of them.
Yeah,
but they're not sitting across from Alberto Crane. You know?
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for all you guys do.
Well, thank you, man.
I appreciate your passion and, you know, integrity, but all the things that you guys give the community. You add value to the community, and I love it.
That's
I love
so
it.
kind
and the
of
fact
you to
that you
say.
came in and trained, right? And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh man, hey, how's it going? And you know, before I knew it was like 10 minutes in, where I was like, oh man, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. And here we are.
You know? So I appreciate the value you bring to our community. And how can people find you?
People can find, if you think I'm cool, you can find me at Dylan, spelled like Bob, Dylan, SUPERARE. But it would be SUPERARE Shop on Instagram, which is SUPERARE Shop, SHOP, or superareshop.com. We have 2 stores if you guys are in New York City or LA. New York City is on Orchard Street in the Lower East Side, and Los Angeles is on Melrose Avenue between Poinsettia and Fuller. Come say hello. We are very friendly.
Thank you so much, brother.
Alberto, thank you, man.
Thank you.